From Tampa Bay and Florida to Buffalo and now Ottawa, our coverage on Penguins Postgame, Turning Back the Clock, continues today. First, with a showdown that went to overtime, Senators, Pens, starts right now. Hello everybody, I am Scott McGregor, and this is Penguins Postgame. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, shoot, he scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame, a PPG for PGH, and you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Hello, Penguins fans. Hello, Senators fans. Hello, Senators Nation. Hello, Penguins fans. Penguins and the Senators. Wow. This is certainly an interesting hockey matchup between the Penguins and the Senators. 3 stars of the game stats, along with everything else in between coming up a little bit later. But in our opening segment, as always, we will start things off with our head coaches and our goaltending matchup. Before we get to that, and of course I also will bring up our officiating crew. Before we get down to that, this matchup was inside of PPG Paints Arena. The last time the Ottawa Senators battled the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Penguins were shut out in Pittsburgh 5-0 in this same venue, PPG Paints Arena. Ottawa also won the only matchup in the nation's capital of Canada in Ottawa, Ontario, back on December 14th, 2024, 3-2. We'll figure out whether that was an overtime thing or that was a regulation thing. I think it was a regulation. I'll double check to make sure on the Penguins schedule. Obviously, I also have the Ottawa Senators schedule as well, just to make sure. We'll double check that just to be sure. And that was, yes, that was indeed an overtime win for Ottawa. 3-2 in a shootout, according to the Penguins schedule. Yes, it was indeed an overtime loss for Pittsburgh. So just a quick check there on the Penguins schedule. As far as we go, this matchup was the final matchup of a 3-game season series with the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators took the series 2-1 with victories at 4 p.m. Eastern on January 11th, 2025, 5-0, and an overtime victory 3-2, on December 14th, 2024. On March 30th, 2025, which was a 5 p.m. Eastern time start, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. UK time, and 11 a.m. rather midnight or so. Maybe I had that wrong. Maybe I should have said 11 p.m. France time. Regardless, those were your times for this game that you could see on RDS, TSN5, and down in the Pittsburgh area. Unless you were listening to WXDX FM Pittsburgh, your home of the Penguins and the best Pens coverage, you could catch it on the TV side on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. This one didn't have scoring until extra time. Travis Green and Mike Sullivan, the head coaches for this game at PPG Paints Arena. The officiating crew, before we get into the starting goaltenders, which we'll get into in a moment. The referees were Dan Oroku, wearing the number 9 jersey, and number 27 was Eric Furlat. Eric Furlat was our other referee for this one. The lines men or lines person were, first of all, wearing the number 70 was Derek Nansen, and Joe Mahan picking up the other lines men or lines person job, wearing the number 89. So you got number 27, number 9, 70, and 89 as the officiating numbers, worn by Eric Furlat, Dan Oroku, Derek Nansen, and Joe Mahan. On the ice, the goaltending matchup for this battle, which was game 73 of the 82 game season for Ottawa, and game 40 on the road. It was game 38 for the Penguins on home ice, and game 75 of the 82 game season. The Ottawa Senators would send to the ice Anton Forsberg, wearing the number 31. The former former Boston Bruin goaltender, wearing the number 35 for the Ottawa Senators. Linus Ullmark picking up the backup duty for Ottawa in this one. Meanwhile, for the Penguins, the backup was number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic. And our starter in goal to go opposite Anton Forsberg would be Tristan Jarry, wearing the number 35. Want to make sure I say that right. 35, not 95 or wherever. So you got 31 versus 35 and 35 versus 39. All right. Before we close up the opening segment here on Penguins Postgame, this game didn't see scoring until extra time. So how about we go ahead and take a look at our penalty summary, shall we? I think we shall. Let's go ahead and take a look. I even have this on my notes, but we also have the NHL app open. And I am doing these recording on the Riverside app. So we will focus on the face-off percentages instead of how many face-offs were won by each club in this one. But we'll do that in the stats portion later on. Penguins post-game note before we get into the penalties. Our last game to turn back the clock is against the St. Louis Blues. We will break that down for you when we are through with this one. So be sure you stick with us for that. And then that's it. We're back to where we stand currently. Games 80, 81, and 82. Speaking of 80, game 80 for the Penguins starts tonight as they take on, at the time of our recording on Friday, April 11th, 2025, they will take on the New Jersey Devils for the final time this season. We'll talk more about the Devils on the Blues recap, as that will be our last turn back the clock show. But it will not be our last Penguins postgame show. Our last Penguins postgame show will be when the Penguins battle the Washington Capitals, which is next Thursday, April 17th, 2025. With that said, let's jump into the penalties. Connor Timmins, the former Penguin, I should say former Maple Leaf, draws a penalty on Dylan Cousins to get us started in the first period of play. 2 minutes for holding at 6 minutes and 24 seconds. So the Penguins will go to the first power play of the day. And after the first 20 minutes of play, we remain scoreless. To the second period of play we go. Now it's time for Ottawa to go to the power play, as Brady Tkachuk draws an interference call against Ryan Graves. Ryan Graves going 2 minutes for interference. And that's something you don't want to see happen in any game of any kind. That happened late in the second period of play. We're still looking for the icebreaker after 40 minutes of play. 19 minutes and 53 seconds was the time of the penalty. 2 roughing penalties called in the third period of play at the same time, 17 minutes and 24 seconds. Both were drawn by the person that was guilty of the penalty. Artem Zeb and Penguins captain Sidney Crosby both receiving 2-minute minors for roughing at 17 minutes and 24 seconds. Later in the third period, as we are still looking at this time for the icebreaker in this one, Ottawa Senators Ridley Gregg is going to get called for a 2-minute minor for hooking. Very late in the period, with I guess maybe 0.3 seconds left on the clock. 19 minutes and 57 seconds was the time of the penalty. Penalty was drawn by Penguins captain Sidney Crosby. No penalties in overtime, but the only goal of the game came in overtime. And we will reveal that with you, along with our 3 stars of the game and game totals, when we return to our Penguins Postgame show. A reminder, our final score of this game was 1-0 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. 1-0. So for 60 minutes, we were trying to find the icebreaker, and we finally find the icebreaker in the overtime period. Wow. That also led to the first shutout of the season for Tristan Jarry. Jarry has 2 shutouts this season. His second came against the Chicago Blackhawks. And in case you haven't seen it yet, that was part of a home and home series in which the Penguins lost round 1 in the Windy City. They lost 3-1, but picked up a 5-0 win at home on April the 8th, which was a Tuesday, this week. So they lost in the Windy City, picked up the 5-0 shutout win on Tuesday at home. Now they're down to their final 2 games at home after they take on the Devils later on tonight. But all things considered, and when you look at it, this was a game that was basically goal lead until, well, overtime. Don't go anywhere, because when we return, we'll get to the play of the game, 3 stars of the game, action from the day of the game, and we break down how the game totals came up and who scored the only goal of this game that led to the victory. All that when Penguins Postgame continues.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Welcome back to Penguins Postgame. Penguins and Senators. Senators, as mentioned earlier, defeat the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is yet another Sunday game. It was on March 30th, 2025, the end of the March programs for the 2024-2025 NHL regular season. Senators and the Penguins. Well, the Senators do fall to the Penguins 1-0, so it's a nice victory for our Pittsburgh Penguins team. We'll get to our stats in a little bit, and our 3 stars also coming up in this segment. We will also get to the play of the game, which, just for our disclaimer to kick things off here, before we get to the scoring portion, the play of the game on the Penguins radio network, WXDX FM Pittsburgh, is brought to you by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you in Ontario, and this is for the Ontario residents, please visit, if you're not going to contact them at 1-866-531-2600, please visit connexontario.ca. Again, if you have questions or concerns about your gambling in Ontario, please contact Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge, or visit Connex Ontario at connexontario.ca. I blitted that out. By cell phone, it's 1-866-531-2600. If you want to check out the website, not going to contact them via the phone, please go to connexontario.ca. Must be 18 years or older to play. Message also for 21 and older. Please play responsibly. We are not sponsored by that, but that is what our play of the game on the Penguins Radio Network is sponsored by. We are not sponsored by it, so our play of the game will just keep going. And we will get to the play of the game in a little bit. But we can't get there until we've finished off our breakdown. When we last left, we broke down the coaches, broke down the game officials, we broke down how things got to this point, at least from the penalty side. There was no scoring in the first period, even over to the third period. So for the longest time, we were looking for the icebreaker in this game. Remember in the third period I mentioned Ottawa's penalty to Ridley Gregg came late? Well, turns out it was the penalty that cost Ottawa the game. Penguins still working with the power play. And at 1 minute and 16 seconds, it's the captain who drew the penalty on Ridley Gregg, who scores to win this game in overtime with his 27th goal of the season. Erik Karlsson picking up the primary assist, his 41st assist of the season. Rickard Rakell with his 32nd assist of the season. That was the secondary assist. Time of the goal, 1 minute and 16 seconds. And the Penguins will win this one in overtime, 1-0. Tristan Jarry picks up his first shutout of the season. His second shutout, as I mentioned earlier on, came in game number 2 of 2 against Chicago, where the Penguins shut out the Chicago Blackhawks 5-0 after losing 3-1 on the Sunday before that game on Tuesday. All of those took place when, 2 of those took place in 2019 All of those took place within the week that has been going on. And also within that week, we saw the Penguins recently take on the St. Louis Blues and lost that one in a 5-4 overtime loss. I'll break that one down after we get out of here with Ottawa. We've broken down the Dallas game, which was a 5-3 win for Dallas. And then I just told you the final scores of the games against Chicago: 5-0 on Tuesday in favor of the Penguins, 3-1 in favor of the Blackhawks on Sunday, which was on the 6th of April. Now the Penguins are down to 3 games to go, beginning later on tonight when they take on the New Jersey Devils. More on that a little bit later. And the same thing can be said for Ottawa as well. The only thing that can't be said for Ottawa is once the Penguins finish off against the Washington Capitals, they are done for the season. When Ottawa is finished with their season, they are off to the playoffs, which means they will continue playing hockey after the season wraps up on April 17th, 2025. Time now for your stats for this hockey game. And a disclaimer here before we get to the stats for the upcoming segment before the play of the game, which we will get to after that disclaimer, and of course after the disclaimer, which is this one that will lead us into the 3 stars. That disclaimer is for the 3 stars of the game coming up following our stats of the game that we're going to get to in just a couple of minutes. Actually, in just about 3 minutes from now. So without further ado, this disclaimer is to let everyone know, especially Penguins fans know, that on the Penguins Radio Network, the 3 stars of the game are sponsored by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not sponsored by Ford, the official car, truck, and SUV of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But we bring out our 3 stars of the game. And if you would like to get in on the action for the play of the game, 3 stars of the game, and of course, the shake of the game and the game puck of the game, you can do so by checking out our Penguins Postgame Show Discord server. In our Discord server, Penguins Postgame Show Interactions, or by sending an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. Starting off the game totals now with our shots on goal by period. The Ottawa Senators winning both the second period and the first period, 16-10 and 11-9. The Penguins won the overtime period and the third period, 14-4 and 2-0, to overtake the Ottawa Senators and outshoot the Ottawa Senators 35-31 for our game totals at the end of the game. After 40 minutes of play, however, the Penguins were being outshot by the Senators 27-19. And after 20 minutes of play, they were being outshot 6 They were. Oh, excuse me there. Excuse me there. We lost our camera there for 1 second. We lost our camera there for 1 second. Sorry about that, my friends. We lost our camera there for 1 second. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. As I was saying, the Penguins were being outshot 16 to 10 after the first 20 minutes of play. They were being outshot 27 to 19 at the end of 2 periods of play. But they took things away from Ottawa with a nice play, or a nice little total of shots on goal in the third period. And in overtime, that one took the cake. Penguins will win the shots on goal battle here, 35 to 31 as mentioned. Moving on after our little distraction there during the shots on goal. The Penguins will finish the night, which was a Sunday game, with a face-off percentage of 58.7%. The Ottawa Senators finishing the day with a face-off percentage, or rather the night, because this was a night game, at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Sunday, March 30th, 2025. We got Ottawa finishing off the day with just about 41.3%, almost 59% good for the Penguins in the face-off dot. The Penguins' penalty kill was perfect on this day, 1 for 1. Ottawa's power play, 0 for 1. Penguins' power play, 1 for 2, thanks to the Crosby goal, which ended the game. Ottawa penalty kill, 1 for 2 as well. Again, the penalties to Crosby and Artem Zeb were roughing penalties, so we were playing 4-on-4 at that point in time. 6 minutes in the box for the Ottawa Senators. The Pittsburgh Penguins only spending 4 minutes in the penalty box in this one. Hits all even at 32-32. Both teams combined for 32 hits, 32 to 32 for Ottawa and Pittsburgh. Ottawa with the upper hand in the blocked shots at 21 to 12. Pittsburgh with the upper hand in takeaways at 6 to 1. Ottawa finishing the game with 15 giveaways, and the Penguins with 24 giveaways in this one. Alrighty. With that being said, those are our stats for the game. Those are our game totals. Apologies there. We kind of lost the camera for a little bit when we were running the shots on goal. I apologize for that. My camera kind of fell down, so I had to kind of reset it. My apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. But with our disclaimer that we did before the stats and the disclaimer before 3 stars and the stats out of the way, we can move on into our 3 stars of the game, and then the play of the game can follow right after. Our play of the game will follow right after it, but here are your 3 stars of the game. Third star went to Senators goaltender Anton Forsberg. Goals against average, 98. Save percentage, 971. He was your third star. Your second star was Penguins captain and center, number 87, Sidney Crosby. 1 goal, 1 point, no assists. And your first star, that went to Penguins goaltender, number 35, Tristan Jarry. No goals against average, save percentage of 1,000. Tristan Jarry, Sidney Crosby, and Anton Forsberg are your 3 stars of the game. That's 35, 87, and 31. 87 and 35 belong to Pittsburgh. 31 belongs to Ottawa. I mean, there's not really that much up for grabs here when we talk play of the game. So I'm going to go with the power play goal by Crosby. But before I mention that, even though we just mentioned the play of the game, we'll go to Sidney Crosby, which is good enough for my play of the game. It's important to note that both Anton Forsberg and Tristan Jarry both played exceptionally well in this one. And I mean exceptionally well. They played exceptionally well. For the longest time, all 34, I should say, shots by the Pittsburgh Penguins had been stopped by Anton Forsberg. And for the longest time, all of the shots that Tristan Jarry faced in this one, all 30 before a 31st shot, just before the end of the third period, because they did not get a shot on goal in overtime. All 30 and 31 shots that Ottawa threw at Tristan Jarry were stopped. Wow. I gotta tell you, that's a pretty good game for both goaltenders. Yes, Anton Forsberg gave up the game winner. But there's not a lot of goals to talk about. All right. Quickly here. Actually, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to the shake of the game and the game puck of the game. And we'll do the NHL look around for that day of games, as all those games have as of late gone final, as we are now in the month of April. The game puck of the game is as scheduled for our episode 10 of season 4 of Sports for Beginners, which is coming up after this game is done. It's been a bit delayed, but we will get there for you. That will be following the shake of the game. And we will also do, for that day, when the Penguins were playing the Blues, we will also do what we're doing on this one, an NHL look around. Speaking of that, we will get to the look around, shake of the game, and game puck of the game, which will be coming up in our last break of the show. The game puck of the game coming up in our last break of the show, but the shake of the game and NHL look around are next. Following the game puck of the game, as recipients get named, we will remind you of the next 4 games for Ottawa and for Pittsburgh that have as of late gone final, including the next one we are going to be recapping in just a matter of moments. That's right, in just a matter of moments. We will be talking Blues and Penguins. But we got to wrap up Ottawa before we can get there. So we will let you guys know how Ottawa and Pittsburgh did. following the game puck of the game. But up next, when we return to Penguins Postgame, what else happened in Pittsburgh, I should say around the league, when the Penguins and the Senators were playing on that same day? We'll take a look at those slate of games as they have all gone final at the timing of our recording. More Penguin Postgame right after this, an NHL look around and shake of the game when Penguins Postgame continues.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Hello? How are you, my friend? Why? What's the matter? Why feeling bored and lonely? Look at me. I am always happy. The only reason I can tell you, it's because I listen to CNT Radio. All the best shows you can think of. The Melting Pot, the Cosmopolitan Culture Club, and the Song Bank. There are also many more new shows to come. Please make sure to visit her website at http://sienna-wordpress.com/sienna-radio. Oh, now I can hear you more cheerful. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Penguins knock off the Ottawa Senators 1-0 on Sunday, March 30th, 2025. 1-0, the final score in overtime inside of PPG, Paints Arena. Sidney Crosby with the only goal in the game. Our shake of the game and game puck of the game. Game puck of the game and setting the scene for the games that have gone final since we last spoke. And of course, since this game went down, here on Penguins Postgame, we'll get you those finals including where Ottawa and Pittsburgh are at right now. We'll get you those finals in a matter of moments. To make sure of things for you, we will get those all to you as soon as we can, along with the game puck of the game for Pittsburgh as well. However, first of all, we're going to get to the shake of the game. Before we get there, like we'll do in our Blues recap here on Penguins Postgame, we're going to give you the finals of those games on the day of this game, besides Pittsburgh and Ottawa. Let's begin in LA, where the LA Kings they beat the San Jose Sharks 8-1. The Toronto Maple Leafs also were victorious that night, beating the Anaheim Ducks 3-2. Down in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Hurricanes beat the Islanders 6-4. No overtime there, no overtime in Anaheim, and no overtime in Los Angeles. In the Windy City, the Chicago Blackhawks, a team we mentioned early on in the program, they were playing the Utah Hockey Club on this day and fell 5-2 to the Utah Hockey Club. We also saw the Winnipeg Jets beat the Vancouver Canucks 3-1. In Washington, the Buffalo Sabres knock off the Capitals 8-5. And down in Florida, the Montreal Canadiens knock off the Panthers 4-2. So of the games that went into overtime, Ottawa and Pittsburgh is the only game that went into overtime, the game we're talking about right now. Now, just a reminder, this was a Sunday game, slate of games. The game between St. Louis and Pittsburgh was a Thursday slate of games. And we will talk about all of that on the St. Louis Blues recap, part of our Season 4 coverage of Penguins hockey. That is, of course, on April 3rd, 2025, which has just gone by. We are at April 11th, Friday, April 11th, 2025. Almost said 2024 like I just said now, but it's 2025. It's 2025. We'll talk about the Blues game when we get an opportunity to do so in our Season 4, Episode 10 of Sports for Beginners that we will get to you. But right now, on our Ottawa Senators recap, it is time, after our NHL look around, which is what we jumped into right off the jump of this, it is time to talk about the shake of the game. Who's really going to get this? Well, I could think of many players who would be deserving for Ottawa and Pittsburgh. But the two players that deserve the shake of the game for me are the goaltenders, Anton Forsberg and Tristan Jarry. And you know what? Why don't I throw in the game puck of the game here? So that way we only have to look at what was next for the teams prior to the games that, you know, as we speak, have gone final. So what was next for them prior to those games that as we speak, even as we speak, that weren't a part of the next 4 games for Ottawa and Pittsburgh have gone final? As we are getting up to current speed on this one. Yeah, we'll throw in the game puck of the game. So Tristan Jarry and Anton Forsberg for Ottawa. Anton Forsberg is going to get the shake of the game. Tristan Jarry is going to get the shake of the game as well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The game puck of the game belongs to the Penguins goal scorer, Sidney Crosby. And the game puck of the game for Ottawa, that belongs to Dylan Cousins. He was one of the many men on Ottawa that spent time in the penalty box. But I still think he did pretty well. A runner-up for the game puck of the game would have been Drake Bafferson. 6 shots on goal, all of them stopped by Tristan Jarry. So there you have it. Dylan Cousins and Sidney Crosby for the game puck of the game for Ottawa and Pittsburgh. Ottawa, it's Dylan Cousins. Crosby for the Penguins. For the Penguins and the Senators, shake of the game recipient is Anton Forsberg. And the Penguins shake of the game recipient is Tristan Jarry. So that will pretty much bring us to the closing moments of our Ottawa Senator recap. Again, our final score, Penguins 1, Ottawa 0 in overtime. Although the Ottawa Senators win the season series 2-1, the Penguins avoid the sweep of the season series by winning that game on Sunday, March 30th, 2025. And when we come back in about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, we will wrap things up with what to expect on the next Penguins post-game show. Reminder, the Penguins are in action tonight as they will take on the New Jersey Devils. They've got Boston and Washington still to come as well on their schedule. And on the Ottawa side of things, they have a 4-game homestand to wrap up their 2024-2025 season, including tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. We'll get you all caught up to speed with what happened in those games prior to this one. I should say, after this one went final for both Ottawa and Pittsburgh, and set you up for what's cooking on our last Turn Back the Clock, which is part of our delayed Season 4, Episode 10 episode, our Penguins and Blues recap. So what will we be cooking on the current and next Penguins postgame? How did the teams fare in the games that were their next 4 after this one had gone final? on the day it went final, which was Sunday, March 30th, 2025. And who's on deck for the rest of the season? And speaking of on deck, what are the final two Penguin postgame shows for 2024-2025? You will find out all of that in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Right after this, from Broadcast Map, on the ice and behind the benches, and our good buddy Nick Blazewitz over at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Our turning back the clock on Ottawa and Pittsburgh wraps up with how these teams fared in their 4 games after their final showdown. What's cooking on Season 4, Episode 10, which is our St. Louis Blues recap of Penguins postgame. And what's cooking, or I should say rather, what's on tap on Penguins postgame when the Penguins battle the Devils later on tonight. You'll find out all the answers when we return.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
Penguins lose the season series to Ottawa 2-1, but they pick up the victory in overtime on Sunday, March 30th, 2025. We have been talking to you for the recap of the Florida game, which was on the 25th of March. That was on the 25th of March, 2025. Actually, was that 23rd? I think 23rd stands out. I think I remember that being the 23rd. Just double checking here on the Penguins schedule to make sure. Yeah, that was indeed the 23rd. It wasn't the 25th. It was the 23rd. Penguins lost that one in a 4-3 shootout loss. But anyways, they pick up one game, but lose the season series to Ottawa 2-1. Good news is we get the win in overtime, 1-0. Well, you would have preferred 2-0. You would have preferred 3-0. You would have preferred 4-0 if you're a Penguins fan. But hey, get the goals any way you can. And that's exactly what the Penguins did. That wrapped up their March schedule. And Ottawa's schedule also was wrapped up on March 30th with the Penguins in town. With a trip to Pittsburgh, I should say. Not in town. They opened up the month of April with a 4-game homestand. And we're going to start our look around at how things got to where they are currently. Starting things off with where things stood. The next 4 games for the Ottawa team following Penguins and Senators, which began Ottawa's schedule, began with the Buffalo Sabres at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. They lost that game 5-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. Came back on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. I should say they came back into action on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 and beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1 to get even in their homestand. They are now 1-1 on this homestand. They end up 3-1 on the homestand with a victory on Saturday, April the 5th at 3-0. And then they also swept their back-to-back, starting off the home-and-home series against Columbus with a 4-0 win over the Blue Jackets in Ottawa before they lost to the Blue Jackets on April the 8th, 5-2 in Columbus, Ohio. On deck for Ottawa, tonight they will take on the Montreal Canadiens. On Sunday, they will take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Game time for Ottawa and Montreal is at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. Game time on Sunday between the Flyers and the Senators is 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And then the games against Chicago and Carolina on April 15th, which is this Tuesday coming up. And this coming Thursday, next Thursday, April 17th, both puck drops are scheduled for 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Pacific, as they will take on, in their final 4-game homestand of the season, they'll take on Montreal tonight, Philadelphia on Sunday, Chicago on Tuesday, and Carolina on Thursday. But that's not all for Ottawa Senators hockey. Ottawa Senators are in the playoffs. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But wrapping things up here for the Penguins side of things, because they have 3 games left before the season is over. After the Ottawa game, they were in late night action for the last time this season as they took on the St. Louis Blues at the Enterprise Center. They lost that game 5-4 in overtime, and we will be breaking that down for you on Season 4, Episode 10 of Sports for Beginners. Games that we have broken down and are available right now for you to listen to on Sports for Beginners are the 5-3 win over the Dallas Stars on Saturday, April the 5th. 2025 at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific. The game against the St. Louis Blues was at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then the games against Chicago, 6 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific on Sunday, April the 6th, in the Penguins' final back-to-back of the regular season. They would split that back-to-back with a victory on Saturday and a loss on Sunday, losing 3-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks in the Windy City, and then coming back with a home-and-home series win of their own, 5-0. They beat the Blackhawks Tuesday night on April 8th, 2025. Game time was at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. Tonight, they take on the New Jersey Devils at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. Pre-game coverage on WXDX FM Pittsburgh, and of course, Sportsnet Pittsburgh starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central. Afternoon hockey, anybody? Let's go to PPG Paints Arena. The final two-game homestand of the season for the Penguins features the Boston Bruins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern this Sunday, April 13th, 2025. Coverage starts on the Penguins Radio Network at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central, and the same can be said on the Penguins TV side, Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Pre-game coverage begins an hour before the game. That'll be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. No, I had that right. Games at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Pre-game show will start at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. That actually makes more sense. There we go. That makes more sense. There we go. And then, well, the season is over after this game, but we'll get one more clash with Ovi and the Capitals. As for tonight's game, as of the timing of our recording for this game, which went down on March 30th, Sunday, March 30th, 2025, as of the recording of today's podcast for this show, tonight, it's the Devils and the Pens. But on our Penguins postgame, it's time to turn back the clock one more time. But we're not going too far back. We're going back to April 3rd. Be sure to join me for that. Pens and the Blues. And our current next Penguins postgame show, one of our third and final Penguin postgame shows of the 2024-2025 season, is against the Devils. How about a little triple trouble? Let's do a Penguins recap, a Blue Jays recap, and then another Penguins recap. That's right. We'll do Penguins Postgame, Penguins and Devils, followed by Blue Jays game recap, Battle of the Birds, Orioles, Blue Jays, and then Penguins Postgame, Bruins, Pens. Sounds like a good lineup for Triple Trouble, eh? To all the fans who have been with us, whether we've been behind or current all season long, I thank you so much for joining us. From the bottom of my heart as a Pittsburgh Penguins fan and a Sidney Crosby fan, I thank you so much for tuning in and hope to see you next season for Penguins Postgame. Find out more about what happens next season on Penguins Postgame, at least what you can expect in terms of segments, on our Washington Capitals recap. We'll do one more, Bucks and Pucks, for the 2024-2025 season, and that will be on the recap of the game tonight before that game between the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. For everything that I mentioned, and of course, all the people I have shouted out over the course of our coverage of Penguins postgame, my name is Scott McGregor, saying, as the old 2-9er would say after 2 minutes with the old 2-9er, enjoy the hockey game. And as Mike Lang would say after every Penguins victory, but we do it win or lose. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. My name is Scott McGregor. This has been Penguins Postgame. We look forward to seeing you again real soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.